Going that way, guys.
Terence Crawford and Tank Davis had one of the most unexpected encounters yesterday, especially after their back and forth on X, formerly Twitter. What unfolded online seemed destined to escalate beyond just verbal jabs. The drama started when Crawford was returning from the Ring Magazine Awards in London, while Davis, who had been away from his camp, was holding a meeting outside the US, as he plans to resume his training camp upon his return. In 2002, fate brought Terence Crawford and Tank Davis face to face, creating the perfect setting for chaos to unfold. Tank Davis was the first to spot Crawford, and instead of keeping his distance, he confronted the former undisputed world welterweight champion. Davis questioned what the online feud was all about, but Crawford, not taking him seriously, said a few words and walked away. Undeterred, Davis continued yelling until Crawford's team stepped in and pulled him away from the pound-for-pound king. Looks like things are about to get serious between Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis. While many expect a Crawford vs. Canelo fight, we should also consider the possibility of Crawford and Davis facing off in some way. Whether it's a street fight, a boxing match, or something else, this feud seems far from over. The tension between them actually began at the Ring Magazine Awards in London on Saturday, where Davis was one of the notable figures involved in the drama. And when the Little Hogan revolved in the drama, the London Ring Magazine Awards saw the presence of boxing royalty, with most of the sport's top figures in attendance. However, one notable absentee was Gervonta "Tank" Davis. Despite announcing his retirement for 2025, Davis, with an unbeaten record of 30 fights and 28 knockouts, remains one of boxing's elite. His absence was likely due to his strained relationship with Riyadh Season and Sheikh Turki Alik, who also owns the Ring magazine. And Tank seemed displeased with the situation, feeling as though he had been deliberately left out of the invitation list. Davis made several posts on his X account, which he later deleted, but Terence Crawford seized the opportunity to mock him, sparking a dispute on social media that continued into Tuesday. Davis, clearly displeased, followed up with a series of deleted posts where he criticized both the event organizers and the attendees. While Tank Davis may not have the best relationship with Riyadh Season's team, the exact reasons behind his absence from the Ring Awards remain unclear. However, he did receive a response, one from Terence Crawford. Quotes. The two champions, Crawford and Davis, have been at odds for a while, exchanging barbs and taunts. Recent reports suggest that Crawford, who recently met with Sheikh Turki Alik, may be inching closer to an epic showdown with Canelo Alvarez later this year. And now they're also bringing a lawsuit against each other in the mixed martial arts. Canelo Alvarez with altruism. Taking a jab at Davis, Crawford laughed and posted, "I see somebody mad they weren't invited to the Ring Magazine Gala. I remember being left out. That's why when they let me in, I crashed the party," accompanied by mocking emojis. This came in response to Davis's deleted posts, although some were saved by users. To understand why Crawford taunted Davis, we need to take a closer look at Davis's original posts. Although the posts appear to have been deleted, some publications managed to capture and report on them. Davis questioned in his post, "Why didn't they invite everybody?" He added, "But they invited people they deal with. Get out of here. Stop bum eating." Davis then seemed to target Eddie Hearn, saying, "Look at that little rat. thinking he came up on something. Now tell them all to fight each other since they have such a heavy roster. Davis also had words for Sheikh Turki Alik, first suggesting that he should encourage the guests to fight among themselves, before criticizing him for not knowing anything about boxing. In another deleted post from his X account, Tank Davis appeared to take aim at Riyadh's season, stating, "They want to act like this guy is good for boxing when he's not good at anything. If he's so great, why isn't he building talent from where he's from? This guy knows nothing about boxing, and yet, this is who they're turning to." Davis's words seem to suggest that he believed the focus should be on developing fighters from the local area, rather than elevating someone he felt lacked boxing knowledge. Davis then ranted about how many fighters, unlike him, are willing to leave American shores to earn money, only to end up with a barely noticeable crowd at their fights. The dispute between Davis and Crawford continued into Tuesday, reportedly after Davis bragged to Crawford about having more money. Crawford's response didn't sit well with Davis, who, in several deleted posts, called out Bud over his earnings, so that Bud later called out Bud over his earnings. "I still make more than you," Crawford wrote to Davis. "Y'all think he's chasing greatness, but he's not. That's just what he has to do to make decent money. The first thing a rich fool tells another rich fool is that he has more money than you. I bet I have more investments than you, and I don't owe $1 in taxes. You can't buy anything I can't buy, and that's a fact. Let's see who has the longest lasting money, smart boy." Davis responded, not holding back his own insults. Fans might find it interesting that last year, during the press conference for the Lamont Roach fight, Davis shocked everyone by announcing he would retire from boxing by the end of 2025. If that's the case, many followers might wonder why Davis would care about such formalities, like not receiving an invitation. However, this might not be the first time Terence Crawford took a shot at the Baltimore native. Shortly after Crawford defeated Errol Spence Jr. and became the undisputed champion, the Nebraska Southpaw heard about Gervonta Davis claiming he could beat him at 147 pounds. Here he traveled to Texas, where he arose, took a naked read, lost his cellophane, Speaking on The Breakfast Club, an unbothered Terence Crawford acknowledged Gervonta Davis's skills in the ring but pointed out that there are levels in boxing. He downplayed the banter, saying if he comes up to 147 thinking he's just gonna knock me out, he's got another thing coming. While a potential clash between the two American boxing icons may never come to fruition, for Crawford there's only one fight ahead. The one against Canelo Alvarez.
Gave a little prediction on the fight, talked about Errol has a metal shield and you have a glass shield, talked about the punch resistance. What do you think it takes to assess it, man?
Terence Crawford and Gervonta Davis are currently 3 divisions apart, though they've competed in the same weight classes in the past. Crawford began his career at lightweight, where Davis is currently a world champion. Crawford became undisputed at super lightweight, a division where Davis has also claimed a title. Since then, Crawford has continued to rise through the ranks, clearing out the welterweight division before making his debut at 154 pounds last year. Meanwhile, Davis remains at 155, holding the WBA world title and knocking out all challengers. The big hitter from Baltimore has claimed in the past that he could knock Crawford out, perhaps in jest, but the bigger man has warned him not to punch above his weight. Accompanying him on the 51-2 punch, which he has been known to punch on, David refers to Crawford as a pretty much 8-year-old version of himself.
I mean, you came up from 35, right?
He ain't fighting no real guys at 47.
So, okay. What about, everyone's talking about Errol fighting.
While the fight is highly unlikely to happen, some believe it wouldn't be a one-sided affair. In an interview with Real Life Productions, multi-division world champion Roy Jones Jr. called it a good damn fight, clearly believing it would be competitive if the two met just below the welterweight limit. He gave Tank Davis a solid chance, explaining, "I don't see anybody around that's gonna beat Bud unless it's somebody way bigger than him. But don't sleep on the fact that if he and Tank fought at around 145, that's a good damn fight. You understand me?" Internet.
But Crawford, on the other hand, I don't see nobody around that's gonna beat Bud unless it's somebody way bigger than him. But don't sleep on the fact that
They both have very high boxing IQs, and Tank is incredibly explosive. That's one thing Tank has that Errol Spence didn't. An explosive fighter can go far. I was able to cover the weights I did because of my explosiveness. It keeps people in check. The two American fighters will continue their paths separately, with Crawford eyeing a showdown with super middleweight champion Saul Canelo Alvarez, which would require a 14-pound jump. Meanwhile, Tank Davis is set to face Lamont Roach Jr. in March before, according to his latest press conference, retiring at the end of the year. Fans of Davis can look forward to the upcoming clash with Roach Jr., scheduled for March 1st at the Barclays Center.
if him and Tank fought at about 145, that's a good daggone fight, you understand me? Matter of fact, I'm saying, that's a good damn fight, you understand me? Because they both have very high IQs, and Tank is very explosive. See, that's the one thing Tank got.
While the highly anticipated fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez seems set to happen, Gervonta Davis has now inserted himself into the conversation. Reports suggest that Crawford and Canelo have agreed on a deal for the mega fight to take place this year, bringing together two of the sport's top pound-for-pound fighters. So the deal is believed to have come together after both met separately with Saudi chief Turki Al-Sheikh in London over the weekend, following a year of back-and-forth discussions about whether the fight would take place. While most in boxing are excited at the prospect of seeing Crawford and Canelo square off, it seems that another of the sport's biggest stars, Davis, isn't as impressed.
Easy work. I heard him say, I'm easy work. If I was easy work, well, you know, you would take all that money that he's offering you.
With Davis seemingly not a fan of the Crawford versus Canelo fight, his coach Calvin Ford has also weighed in on how the fight might play out. The debate over who would win between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford continues to stir excitement, as the fight would be one of the biggest in boxing, pitting two pound-for-pound greats against each other. While it would require Crawford to make a significant jump in weight, Davis's trainer, Calvin Ford, recently shared his thoughts on the potential matchup during an interview with Fight Hype, and it seems he's leaning towards the Mexican champion. Right? So do you think Davis's jump is prudent? From Major League Baseball's most attractive player to college starters.
Terence Crawford, Canelo situation, do you think that's a fight where they could get to a weight that makes sense? Do you think that the weight would affect Terence Crawford?
I mean, Canelo's the king. Whatever he say, you know what I'm saying?
Canelo is the king, Ford said. It's a good fight, and I'd love to see it and the outcome of it. Canelo has been making some strong moves for his fights. Ford also spoke about Crawford's performance in his last outing, where he moved up to 154 pounds to defeat Israel Madrimov, but couldn't secure a stoppage. Armbands. It was his first fight at that weight. You can't say he didn't carry the power up there. He just had to make adjustments. It's like when Benavidez moved up in weight, it's all about making those adjustments. I hope Terence Crawford gets another fight at that weight so he can show the world what he's got. If it's not there, then we can start questioning.
It's a good fight. I like to see that fight, the outcome of it. You know what I'm saying? And then watching Canelo been making some good moves, as far as fights and whatnot.
Ford concluded by explaining why he believes Crawford is pursuing a showdown with Canelo. Terence is a bad boy. He's moving up because he wants that fight. He isn't getting any younger, and he's doing everything he can to cement his legacy. While Crawford has been focused on securing a fight with Canelo, he's also recently been involved in a heated exchange with Teofimo Lopez, and their feud has intensified with a fresh spat on social media.
Question for you, Tank. At 147, how does a fight with you and Terence Crawford look? 147?
In the last 2 years, Crawford made a compelling case to be the top pound-for-pound boxer in the sport when he demolished Errol Spence Jr. in their super fight at 147 pounds. Davis, who competes at 145 pounds, was asked how he'd fare against the bigger Crawford, and Tank confidently believed he could defeat him in 6 rounds. At 147, you know he's gonna sleep. He ain't got no chance. I got round 6, Davis said. Crawford, however, brushed off Davis's comments, pointing out that Tank is in his own weight class for a reason. I don't see him coming up to 147 to face me anytime soon. Crawford also discussed the unlikely matchup against Davis during a recent appearance on The Breakfast Club, a popular morning radio show on New York's Power 105.1 FM.
Man, everybody say, what they'll do, but Tank is in his weight class for a reason, and I don't see him come up to 147 to face me no time soon.
Awesome. Appreciate it, Tank.
He's just talking, Crawford told co-host Charlemagne the God and DJ Envy. He has the confidence in himself because he's been knocking out all these fighters he's been in the ring with. No knock on Tank, but there are definitely levels to this. If he comes up to 147 thinking he's just gonna knock me out, he's got another thing coming. Crawford died. Huh? He's got another thing coming.
The confidence in himself that he believed that he can do that because he's been knocking all these fighters out that he's been in the ring with.
At 30 years old, Davis has fought as high as junior welterweight, the first division in which Crawford became a fully unified champion. The Southpaw Davis knocked down former WBA World Super Lightweight champion Mario Barrios 3 times in their bout, eventually defeating Barrios by 11th round technical knockout in June 2021 at State Farm Arena in Atlanta. And, to believe it or not, in his most recent outing, Davis knocked out rival Frank Martin with a devastating punch in the 8th round of a 12-round non-legal fight contested at a catchweight of 136 pounds. Crawford, 37, has also defeated all 8 of his welterweight opponents by knockout or technical knockout since he relinquished his IBF, WBA, WBC, and WBO 140-pound titles to move up to the 147-pound division 5 years ago. You gotta...
He's thinking he's just gonna knock Terence Crawford out.
So that's the fight you would make happen? If he wanted to come up to 147?
His purse would be big enough to make Crawford consider the fight if it were offered. Yeah, I'll stay at 147 for him because that's a big money fight, said Crawford, who is also a former WBO lightweight champion. It's a big money fight, Yeah, but then what's everybody gonna say? They'll say he was too small. Nobody's gonna give me credit. They'll just say, oh, you beat up a little guy who fights at 135. In the end, if I don't fight at your purse, you're probably right. It's a stupid match. Tank's like 5'5", he's a little guy. Yeah, he can punch, but in his weight class. I'm not saying he can't punch in any weight class, because he can, we see that. But what kind of recognition am I gonna get for beating up on Tank? A lot of people don't realize 135 and 147 is a big jump. That's almost a 20-pound difference. Well, 12 pounds. It's still a big jump.
Yeah, 147, man. That's a big money.
That's a big fight,
yeah.
So Spence.
But then what? Everybody gonna say.
However, Alexander Usyk, the undisputed heavyweight champion, has thrown his support behind Terence Crawford for a highly anticipated potential bout against Saul Canelo Alvarez, which could take place at the end of this year or in early 2025. In a conversation with a 3KR podcast, Usyk praised Crawford's bold decision to move up 3 weight classes to challenge Canelo. He also highlighted Crawford's exceptional intelligence and versatility in the ring.
That chin, you know he going to sleep.
I already know. I already know
he ain't got no chin. I already know he is.
You said no chin.
I got
Terence is my friend, but he's a crazy man, Usyk said. I say Terence wins. Listen, Terence is a different man. He works in 2 stances, and he's a very, very, very smart man. Meanwhile, Turki Alik has been working tirelessly to finalize the highly anticipated clash between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford.
Of course, but there's talk of a potential fight between Canelo and Terence Crawford. How do you see that fight? Who do you like?
Terence.
Wow.
Friend, but it's crazy, man.
The plan is to stage the fight in the United States either late this year or early 2025, aiming to deliver the high-stakes matchups that boxing fans crave. Canelo has indicated he would consider the fight if the financial terms are right. While some boxing experts believe Crawford will face significant challenges due to the weight class jump, others argue that his technical skills and ring IQ will allow him to overcome Canelo, even on the Mexican's home turf. After his win over Errol Spence Jr., Crawford expressed his ambition to fight Canelo for the undisputed super middleweight title.
I say Terence win. Yes.
What? Terence win over Canelo?
What? Terence win. But listen, Terence, different man.
After becoming the undisputed welterweight champion, Terence Crawford stated that he was willing to move up 3 weight classes to super middleweight for a mega fight with Canelo Alvarez. Crawford had previously considered the idea of making the fight work at a catch weight of either 158 or 160 pounds. But those suggestions were quickly shut down by Alvarez. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. For more exciting videos, make sure to hit the bell icon and stay updated. Subscribe to Boxing Hub now for all the latest in boxing.